Speaking on the Sky F1 podcast, Martin Brundle discusses the current pecking order in the 2024 Formula One season. Sky Sports F1's Martin Brundle has described Mercedes' correlation problems as very worrying after a disappointing Japanese Grand Prix. Mercedes had their worst result at Suzuka in over a decade as George Russell finished in 7th with Lewis Hamilton 2 places behind in 9th. Hamilton is yet to finish higher than 6th in the opening 4 events this year, which is a first in his 17-year F1 career. Mercedes initially attempted a one-stop race after the red flag for Daniel Ricciardo and Alex Albon's crash at Suzuka, but they went backwards and did not have good enough tyre wear. The team have admitted the numbers and results they see in the wind tunnel have not correlated onto the track. They've got to understand this car, and I think that's a grave concern for all of the people there, said Brundle on the latest episode of the Sky Sports F1 podcast. There's a lot of very clever people, with a huge amount of resource, performance tools and budget. I'm not going to try and second-guess what's wrong with it, or state what I think is wrong with it, because if they don't know, then I certainly don't know. Mercedes are 4th in the Constructors' Championship behind Red Bull, Ferrari and McLaren. Lance Stroll's deficit to teammate Fernando Alonso means Mercedes are ahead of Aston Martin, but only by 1 point. In Japan, Hamilton was 5th in first practice and declared the session as the best of Mercedes' season, stating the car was in more of a sweeter spot. Just 48 hours later, the 7-time world champion said the car was pretty bad during the Grand Prix itself, which Brundle highlighted. They cannot get a handle on these ground effect cars. This is the 3rd season of these regulations. They turn up, they think they have aced it, a lot of positive noises, and then it still bounces a little bit with the porpoising, he continued. But their problem is, from time to time, the thing performs beautifully and they are really quite fast in phases. But, they can't seem to reproduce that session to session, let alone day to day, let alone Grand Prix to Grand Prix. This is the problem they have got, this knife edge of a car that sometimes looks like they have finally sorted it and more of the time they just can't understand it. When you've got that, when all of your tools and all your clever people don't correlate with the stopwatch and the performance of other cars on the track, and you can't seem to nail it down, then that's really frustrating and I would say very worrying. Toto Wolff told Sky Sports F1 that Mercedes' first stint on the hard tyres at the Japanese Grand Prix was atrocious. However, he also said the car is becoming quicker and the performance was much better than the final result looked. Karun Chandhok was slightly puzzled by the comments from the Mercedes team principal.